you have to have this connection to something greater than yourself.
I love that.
That is able to fill you up and stopgap all the holes and keep you full so that you can spread that out to other people.
This is the Atomic Souls Podcast.
We're live.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the Atomic Souls Podcast.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Super excited.
Glad to have you all the way out from Bastrop.
All the way out. Yeah.
Who are you and what do you do? We'll start there.
Yeah, my name is Jen Mack, and I am a clinical supervisor out at a treatment facility in Bastrop, Texas. And I have a small private practice on the side where I do just therapy sessions, stuff like that for recovery, for people specifically in recovery. I don't work with people without an SUD or a substance use disorder. So everybody that I work with has some experience in some way with struggling with a substance use disorder.
Yeah. Well, welcome on the show. We appreciate you coming out. What got you into the recovery world, to that licensure?
So I experienced in my life childhood, generational addiction, abuse, stuff like that. From the time I was 13 to 15, I was held in captivity. So I'm a survivor of human trafficking. Yeah. And so I was trafficked, and my oldest child was born from that situation. Like when I found out I was pregnant is when I escaped. Yeah. And so I escaped that, and I was in foster care in Missouri. And my trafficker is in prison in Missouri. He is actually getting released like sometime next year. When it gets closer, like the victim services people start reaching out to you and saying, hey, he's going to be released and things like that. And he's had several like release dates that have been pushed back because of his behavior, I guess. Yeah. So they'll start like reaching out and doing things like, hey, he's going to be released. So anyways, I, aged out of foster care in Missouri, and I moved back to Texas. Well, I was aging out, and I moved back to Texas after September 11th.
Oh, wow.
And I just remember I watched the towers fall, and I remember exactly what I was doing that day, as most of us that were alive and doing things and can remember. And I had like this longing for family and like this need. I had a 2-year-old baby that had been premature. She was born at 26 weeks. Wow. And so she was very early, had to be in the NICU. I was only 17. Yeah. And I was like, I want to go home. Like, you want your mom, you want to have like this family. And I didn't have that where I was. So I moved back to Texas, and in the healing dynamic of things now, we know that, so during the time whenever I was 17, I had enrolled in college and went to Missouri Western State, and I was going to be a sex crimes detective. I was in the criminal justice program there. I got scholarship scores on my ACT exam, and so they're like, yes, go to school. And nobody told me, I had no guidance, or nobody told me that you shouldn't take 15 college hours your first semester while you're working with a NICU preemie baby at 17. And nobody knew anything about trauma in the early 90s. You know what I mean? Like, this is 1999, 1998, like stuff like that. So we didn't know anything about anything. On
fumes.
Yeah, and I'm like, if I stay busy enough.
Yeah, you're used to the chaos. Why not make it positive chaos?
Yeah, and I won't have to worry about any of this. And I'm going to be a detective that's going to help people and help girls and boys, because there's so many male people that are impacted by human trafficking as well. So I was like, I'm going to help these people. And I was in a police photography course. And I remember there had been a man that had heard a sermon, and he had killed his son, and we got called out to the crime scene to do the photography for it. And I remember after that, I had to something like broke inside me. I think some of my trauma just started like flooding out.
Yeah.
And I ended up dropping out of school, and then the towers fell. And then I moved back to Texas, and I'm still only 17 at this time. So, like, only 17. So I moved back to West Texas because that's where I'm from, Odessa.
Odessa, really?
Texas. Yeah.
Did you know I grew up in Midland?
No, I didn't know that. Oh, that's crazy.
My grandparents were in Odessa.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's like nothing out there.
Yeah, nothing. Right, nothing. So, and especially not in the early 2000s. Like, there's so much more now. There's a recovery movement now. There's stuff now.
Yeah.
Not as much, but definitely nothing then.
Yeah. I was moving out of Midland, Odessa that same year that 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
You were moving back.
Yeah. And
that Christmas I moved to Louisiana.
Yeah. It's wild. That is so crazy. We just passed each other.
Yeah, we were crossing ships in the night.
So I go back, and, you know, my mom has never had therapy for any of her childhood stuff that's happened. She's parenting out of the same, you know, way. And then I, of course, because I've been trafficked and I have not dealt with it, I am in like unhealthy relationships. And so I get in an unhealthy relationship with an older man who I think I was 19 when I had my second child, and he was like 47 or something like that. It was wild. So we had a child together, and still not healing from the trauma.
Yeah.
And then at this time, I'm not using or anything like that. I didn't start, my addiction did not start until I was about 20 or 21. And then I began working in clubs and doing things that I knew to get money to support myself and my kids. And then began my addiction and in and out of prison and jail, and committing crimes, what they call like white collar crimes, like fraud and different things like that, money and stuff like that. And so all of those things happened. I would get out on parole and run, and they would pick me up on a violation, and then they would let me back out. And I'm like, I'm not going back. But my niece, so in April 21st of 2014, my niece, who was a preemie baby at the time, passed away, and we woke up in the house to her mom screaming, and so I was giving her CPR, and in that moment I was like, I'm done, right? Like, I can't do this anymore. And then a lot of other things happened, but on May 29th of 2014, I had not used since like the 27th or whatever. And I was like, I'm completely done. And I was arrested on another parole violation for a blue, because I had a blue warrant. And so they arrested me. I was in a game room raid, because if I'm not going to use, I may as well gamble illegally in Texas. I told you, I'm not like healthy, right? Not a healthy person. So may as well be out here doing this.
Gotta find chaos somehow.
I'm going to. I'm going to find it. And so I went back to just on that violation, and they sent me to East Texas Transfer Facility in Henderson as for the violation. And I had a home plan and everything set up in Odessa, and at the last minute, the home plan fell through, and they were like, no, she can't come here, which was the biggest blessing of my entire life, literally. Like, that was, I would have died. I would have died in prison or going back. And they sent me to Austin. I was like, Austin? What do I know in Austin?
The big city.
Yeah. What? And they're like, that's the point. You know what I mean? You don't know anybody.
Yeah. And
so I went to the halfway house in Austin, and I was sober, and I knew I'm done. I knew that I was done. I didn't know what that was going to look like.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what healing was going to look like. But my now husband, who we've been married for 12 years, my now husband, I remember we were in the halfway house, and I just remember like feeling God say, like, that's going to be your husband. And I was like, I don't think he is. I don't think you're right. And he was wilding out in the halfway.
Yeah, this is not the right one. I'm
like,
healing.
I'm like, I don't think he's supposed to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be the guy.
That's funny.
Yeah. And so, but I'm still acting out promiscuously, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm still, like, in this place of, but I'm sober. And,
But I'm sober.
and I'm sober.
The silver lining.
I'm not injecting methamphetamines in my veins. So
That's the difference.
that's the healthiness.
Sobriety versus recovery. Like, very different.
Yeah, like I don't have these chemicals in my body, but I am definitely hitting that, like my reward center is going to be triggered some way. And so we ended up getting married while we were in the halfway house. And I do not recommend. Do not recommend.
Like, wait,
one
client's
star.
watching.
1 star. Yeah, 1 star. I do not. I tell people all the time. I almost hate to share that part of our story, but it is such a part of our story that I'm like, I don't recommend.
It happens.
And so we lived in a tent.
Wow.
We lived in a tent from January of 2015.
Wait, what happened between that?
So okay, sorry, I like jump ahead, like like, hey.
We got married and we moved into
Halfway
We
house
got
and then
married
moved
because
into
that's what you do. Like when you meet somebody at the coffee pot, the meeting. No, so I was discharging. My parole was discharged, and so they're like, bye. You know what I mean?
Really,
I just knew that I couldn't go back to Odessa or anywhere, and my husband's from like the McKinney, Dallas area. Okay. And just a little bit for my husband, I have permission to share parts of his story with my story. So just a little bit about him. He, in 1992, was convicted for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. He was in McKinney, Texas, and he was never in the vehicle. He took it to trial. The first trial, they had a hung jury, and they could not. They retried him after that, and then he was sentenced to 25 years in a Texas prison. And he served 18 years, 8 months, and 20 days flat time, calendar years in Texas prisons.
Jeez.
A lot of that time in like segregation and stuff like that. So,
Jeez.
so I thought that I was the one coming in with the baggage because, you've been in prison in an isolation cell for 18 years. What kind of baggage do you have?
Right.
Like
most.
what? Yeah. So I thought it was just me with my all my luggage coming in.
Yeah.
So he was not being discharged, though. He still had like 5 years on his sentence left.
Oh, no.
And so he left. He absconded with me. So I'm not out in this tent by myself. And he's like, what am I going to do? And I was like, you better get a job and go to work because they're not going to look for you there.
Oh, my gosh. They're going to look for you in the tent.
Yeah, they're going to look for you on the streets. And he's so funny. But he... we lived 3 months in that tent, and he would get up every morning at 3:30 and boil water so I could take a wash off because I was in school. I was enrolled in college. Wow. And I went through some programs, like boot camp programs, like through Goodwill and stuff like that, that helped criminally people that are justice impacted and have criminal charges, get jobs and do internships and things like that. So I interned at the YW for a little while during that time. And we lived in that tent and we saved money. And finally, we found this 450 square foot walk-in closet that was a mother-in-law suite at this elderly couple's house. Yeah. And we moved in and we paid I think back then $700 a month in rent or something, or $750.
400 square feet.
Yeah, it's so wild. And we, my oldest child was 16, so she came to live with us. We got her back. My middle child came to live with us for a little while.
All in the 400 square feet?
Yeah, all in the 400 square foot.
Jeez.
Little area. So we had them come live with us, and we're slowly building our lives back. And we stayed there for 5 years. But my husband also, and this is an open part of our story that we share, for the first 5 years of our marriage, he had an affair with alcohol.
Okay.
And he struggled with it for the first 5 years. And I struggled with infidelity, like in the actual affair. And that's how I justified it, because I could not compete with what he was using. Like, and I was still sober. So that I was still acting out.
Yeah.
And we, were in our church, and we were very active in our church. Our church is like, at that time, was like 6 bus rides
Oh, wow.
from our house.
Dedicated.
And we didn't have a vehicle. We had committed to not, he had surcharges, and I was terrified to drive in Austin.
Yeah.
And so I was
Very
like, I'm not
different than
doing
Odessa.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. And so like I would like close my eyes when we went over the 183 flyover or whatever. And so
It's a big road.
yeah, and even my oldest daughter, after I started driving, she was like, "How do you make it over?" I was like, "I just close my eyes." She's like, "What?"
While driving.
Yeah. She's like, "What?" What? You know what I mean? But I don't anymore. I don't practice. Yeah, like it'll be fine. No. So
Don't do that either.
yeah, don't do that either. He was in and out. Like he went back on violations. He went 6 months, and I actually the first time he went back, I was like, if you drink. We had done this like marriage mentoring program. It was like a 4-week program that took us 4.5 months to learn how to communicate and not hit below the belt. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you go, like I'm not like if you go low, I'll go high. I'm like if you go low, I'm gonna go to hell.
Meet you there, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm going, like please don't. I will drag us there.
Yeah.
And so we had to learn how to communicate and like around these spaces and like what's the problem and I'm like, what? And so we did that and really tried to do things that like invested in our marriage and stuff like that. It was really like, how can we heal? How can we get here? And to this place that I didn't even know what here was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what is even here? Where I feel peace, where we're calm, where we're not like tearing each other's heads off. Yeah. And my husband is a very quiet, like calm storm. Like I'm the like loud neurotic
There's always one of
behaviorist. And he's like the calm, quiet in the storm, right?
Yeah.
And even when he was, still struggling with alcohol, he was still like the calm, quiet in the storm. I remember one time I caught him on West Campus, and he's so funny too. It's hard to even be mad because I'm like, what? So I catch him on West Campus, and I see him out like standing up against the wall with a beer can in his hand. And a bunch of people waiting on the bus, and I like stop the bus and get off, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he like looks at this guy in a suit, it's probably like an attorney or something. He's like, why'd you hand me this beer? Like he's like, I'm like, it's the middle of the day. Right. He's like, I'm not with anybody. That's a problem. Like the fact that you're isolated, not at work in the middle of the day drinking a beer is a problem.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't understand why I'm not doing anything else. Like what? I'm like, no, this is an issue. Yeah. And so
why did you hand me that beer?
Yeah, like I'll never forget. I was like, the look on that guy's face was like
so confused.
I was like, like these people down here in Austin, downtown Austin are wild. And I'm like, I only suspect that he's from here, but if he wasn't here, he's probably like, what?
I ain't never going back.
I'm never going back there. Like, what's going on? So I tell people that come out from Odessa and stuff to visit, oh, we're going downtown. Like, no, we don't do that here. Like, we live here and we don't go there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? But just working on healing. And when his first violation, he had taken some money that was put up for something else. We had been living off my student loans, and because he was having a hard time, like, staying at work. Yeah. And I used to do passive aggressive stuff, like give him money during the week for vegetables. Like okay, your responsibility is to buy the fruit and vegetables for the week, and I will buy like the meat or like the entrees, and then that's how we cook. Yeah. And so we'd be having spaghetti, and he's like, this spaghetti's good. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be great with a salad. But he's already used the money like to drink. Yeah. And then I'm like, he just can't have any money. I'll just control all of that. Oh, man. If I just control... Yeah. This is Austin. He could just go fly a sign. He could just walk up to somebody and say, hey, I need money for alcohol or whatever. And they would likely give it to him like, all right, Yeah. But I in that sick place that I was in my head, I was like, if I can just control. Yeah. And I was going to school to learn to be a therapist. I know. That specializes in addiction. And I had to be able to like separate, like, I'm not your I'm not your therapist. You have to get help on your own. And so when he went, he still had that the first time he went back, he had still had that warrant for leaving the halfway house with me. And I had told him, like, if you leave and you drink, I'm not letting you back in the house, and I'm calling that, like, you're going to go to jail on your blue warrant. And he was like, call him. And I was like, all right. Okay. And I did.
What?
And he was like, what? He's like, why'd you do that? And I was like, because I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be worried about like what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't have a problem with alcohol. I just like to drink. I'm like, it's a problem because you're doing it during the middle of the day by yourself. Like, let's look at the DSM-5 right here. So I'm like looking at the criteria. I'm like, sir, this is severe.
I'm going to school for this.
Yeah, like this is a problem, and I can't help you. Like, I can't be, like, I can't, it's making me sick. Like, I'm continuing to stay sick and not heal in ways that is not okay.
Right.
And my older kids, my older teenage daughters, 17 of them are watching. And we have a grandbaby on the way because our daughter is now pregnant. Like, there's a baby on the way. Yeah. Like, we cannot continue with this. And so he went back then and got out. And then in June of 2019, he went back for the last time. He relapsed for the last time, June 10th of 2019. And he was in a high crime area. One of those areas are like high crime. And so a unclothed officer pulled him out of our vehicle. Oh, wow. He wasn't driving, but he had intended to drive, which really... I was like, that's one of the most selfish things you can do. Like, why would you put yourself or anybody else in that situation? And so he goes to jail, and I get him out. And in July, I have surgery. I have a major abdominal surgery in July. And 2 weeks after I have surgery, he's arrested for that contact with law enforcement, and he goes away to ISF in Amarillo for 6 months. He's gone. Wow. And I have our 2-year-old grandbaby that we have custody of now. And it's just me and her. And I'm in school trying to finish finals. I graduated in December of 2019. So I'm trying to take finals. My professors are like letting me bring her to finals outside of like finals. And they're like sitting with her so that I can take my final exam. And I aced all my finals somehow in the midst of all that. It's the chaos. I'm telling you. It's like, I can thrive in it. I'm like, yes. I'm like in the red zone of the Polyvagal chart for 7 years. And like just numb, right? Just like going. And if I dip back down, I'm going to feel uncomfortable. So I can't, I can't do that.
Can't be peaceful.
And so I graduate, and then COVID happens, and
It's like one hit after the
one hit after another. COVID happens, and then my mom, like, we've been trying to help her and my nieces because she had custody of my nieces in Odessa. She worked in the restaurant industry. COVID happens, so summer of 2020, they come here. Down here, and we live in our 450 square foot walk-in closet still. And so we have to get a bigger place. And so we get a bigger place, which is the house that we live in now. We just moved in July 18th, was 6 years since we lived there. So from May to July, there was like 9 of us in a walk-in closet. Oh my gosh. And so like trying to figure it out, like, what are we gonna do? We got a bigger house. And during the last 6 years in this bigger house, we've had, like, my brothers came home from prison and been able to stay with us and get on his feet, get his own place. My youngest daughter, was able to come with her baby and her fiance, and they finally got their own apartment here, and they have another baby on the way. And so we've got to watch people grow, like, from like, yes, you can come here. Yes, this is a safe place. And we work very hard to make sure that it's a safe place. And then they get to go and move on and do things. And all of our kids are special needs. My oldest, my 27-year-old, has mental health issues and special needs. And then all of our kids and grandkids have autism and special needs. And so our house is like a sensory friendly, like there's like sensory bulb tubes and crash pads and swings and all kinds of stuff. It looks like a therapy center in our house. But we get to love them and support them and have services, for them. But in 2021, my mom was working overnights at Amazon, and so they had moved in My mom got a job working overnight at Amazon, and my husband was going to pick her up during the ice storm. So February 14th of 2021, and they were involved in like a probably 36 or 40 car pileup.
Wow.
My husband had gotten out of the car to help someone that was unconscious, and another wave of cars were sliding down 183 and like slammed into them. And the paramedics and EMS were already on site, and he was knocked up into the air, and he spun around like suspended in the air. And when all the cars like stopped moving, he like hit the ground and he had 3 cuts on his finger, and that's it.
Wow.
But the EMS had saw it, and they were like, "You have to go get checked out." And so he went to go get checked out at Seton Northwest, and they couldn't clear his CAT scan, so he did an MRI,
Yeah.
and he was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Jeez.
And so in March 23rd of 2021, he had a bifrontal craniotomy, and they resected the tumor that tested positive for stage 4 glioblastoma, which is an aggressive terminal form of brain cancer.
Wow.
There's no cure for it. And so in 2021, like they were like, prognosis is like 12 to 18 months after like diagnosis and resection, and we can't really guarantee anything.
Yeah.
That was 5.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so what we did at that time was I had been working for Phoenix House, Texas. So I worked with adolescents. That's where I started in the field.
Nice. Okay.
I was a PRN tech, like a PRN recovery advocate.
I just had coffee with Meredith.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was my director.
Really?
At the time.
That's
Yes,
great.
yeah, that was my director. And so we made the decision I would just be the primary breadwinner. Started out PRN. I was a PRN tech, but I never worked PRN hours. I just liked the ideal that I could say no.
Yeah.
But I still worked like 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
I just like the ideal
You
of
can
being
make
able to
better
say
money
no.
doing that
Yeah,
too.
doing PRN stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I started, and then I moved up. I became a supervisor,
Nice.
and then I became what they call like a house man, kind of like the house, like the director of operations. Like I worked with operations, and my other supervisor, Paulina, she actually took over that position, and I did a hybrid of in residential. I was a like recovery advocate supervisor,
Nice.
and then I did outpatient IOP
Okay.
groups and facilitated stuff like that. And so that's kind of how I was earning my clinical hours for like my because we had 4,000 at supervised hours.
Yeah.
So that's how I started earning that. And then eventually I started doing like admissions coordination and just all the different things.
Nice.
And so I would like schedule my role from like 5:30 to 8. I was like supervising them self-administration of their meds. And then at like 8, I'm like doing admission coordination from like 8 to noon. And then it was long days. And I was like making no money because it's nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so my husband's like, if you're going to listen, he's always this whole time, even after surgery, like 4 weeks after surgery, I caught him on our neighbor's roof repairing her roof.
Oh my God.
Because he's always done like handyman stuff and
Yeah.
worked, and that was his business. That's how he did things. But I was in a place of like fear, and so I was like, what happens if you die? Because that's the reality is. I mean, the reality for all of us is that we could die tomorrow or this afternoon or whatever. But for me and the kids, it was like, what happens if you die and I have all these bills and I need to be the primary breadwinner? I need to have control.
Yeah.
You need to have control of the situation.
Yes.
And so I had to be working through therapy a lot with that. But for him, it was like, what happens, And so I, when we decided to close down Phoenix House, it was heartbreaking for me.
Right. Another hit.
Yeah, another hit. And but Willow had been pursuing me for a while on Indeed.
Yeah.
And then so I decided to entertain them and like kind of find out from the recruiters and like do an interview. with Pam and stuff like that. I was like,
love
hey,
Pam.
love Pam. Shout out Pam. Love you,
Shout out,
girl. She's so supportive. And so I did the interview, and they're like, what's your salary? You know, like, and I didn't read for all the research I did. I didn't like even click like the salary like that they had put on there. And so I just shot a number that was like $20,000 out above what I was making because I was making crumbs, right? In nonprofit.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, done. And I was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
That was
One
too
more.
easy. Yeah.
Let me try
Hold on.
again.
Let's renegotiate
Counter
that
my
out.
own number.
Let me counter my own offer. Like, I'm wild. I have all this experience. You know what I mean? I'm not even fully licensed yet, but I have all this experience like that I'm bringing with me.
Yeah.
And they honored it. Like, they were like,
That's cool.
So that was super awesome. And then I started working out there, and I was out there for a while just as a regular like clinician. I kind of helped after I was fully licensed build the like supervision of like the interns and stuff like that. And then I took the promotion as outpatient clinical supervisor. Yeah. And so that's what I've been doing for the last few years. I don't know. I feel like time flies by, so I don't know. But that's what I've been doing, and I love it out there and love getting to kind of network in the community. However, the other day I was like, I should be biz dev because I could get paid to bring people food like all the time. Like I just could be out here networking, just taking people food. Like what?
Go out to lunch for your job.
Yeah. I'm like, please pay. I will take people taco. Like I will be the best. You know what I mean? I'll probably always be over budget, but you know what I mean? So like just thinking about like being out there, and that's what kind of we've been doing. And my husband still does some stuff. He still does some work on the side, but I do the primary work outside of the home because the work inside of the home is huge. So it's my my 27-year-old adult daughter who, you know, she has support needs as well. Yeah. And then we have a 9-year-old, 5-year-old, it's going to be 6, who thinks she's 36. And then our grandson, who is 4, who's global developmental delayed, and he has he's making a lot of progress with his speech and stuff like that, but he needs a lot of therapy. Yeah. And then my husband, who has had an increase in seizure activity and stuff like that, but we have found several times they found like reoccurrence of the tumor, and then it's dissipated when we went back for follow-up. Huh. Wow. And so we're still, you know, monitoring that. He'll go back in August for another MRI and kind of meeting. But in short, that's how I got to Willow and became a clinical supervisor.
And you recently like broke your back too. Like,
yeah.
How are you doing with that?
Yeah. So that after you injure your back, I don't want to say like as an older, like I feel like I'm 43. This is not. I'm not old. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I still have, like, a lot of life left in me, and I'll probably still be working when I'm 80 because of student loans. So, and all these kids. So, March 8th, I've been dealing since last August with a herniated disc in my back. Doing physical therapy, trying to adjust. Weight is a big thing too. Like, so trying to like monitor, like make sure that I'm like doing healthier things, treating my body better in a better way. And so that week I worked all week, and my pain had changed. And I kept telling my husband, like, man, like something is different. Like this is not right. And so we go finally. I worked the whole week, and then we go.
I did with our staff.
I did a tour with y'all staff, and then I did a LCBC school tour, and then I discharged an unruly client that was like wild. Oh my gosh. And then that Sunday I was like spent. My husband was like, "We're going to Ally to." Get some imaging done. So we go to the ER. I go to Ally, and I said, I think I'm being a baby. I'm not really sure. And like, I don't know. And they're like, vertebrae's in your back or front.
You're like, I'm just being a baby. It's not that bad.
Yeah. They're like, So then I have to go like to pain management. I have to take off work, and then I don't, get short-term disability because why would I think I'm like Batman? I mean, nobody's ever seen me and Batman in a room together, so I don't want to say that I'm Batman, but nobody's seen us together.
I'm impressed with your resilience.
And so, like, who's planning to, like, get sick and have to be off work for 8 weeks? Not me.
Yeah.
And so I tried to go to work with a back brace on, and they were like, HR was like,
yeah, don't make it
you can't
worse.
be here. Like, you're a liability. You have to take off.
Right.
And so then I have to do FMLA. I have to do unpaid FMLA for 8 weeks. And so I'm like, what? And then I'm trying to heal. And then they have me on like pain management because you can't have a fracture back and not. Like, let's be so for real. And so I'm like nervous about that. Like, what's going to happen?
Because you've been sober this whole time.
Yeah. And even though pills weren't my thing, I don't need them to become my thing.
Yeah.
And, like, alcohol wasn't my thing either, but I'm not going to go like, who knows? Like, sometimes the clients are like, well, can you drink if you don't? Like, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try. Maybe I can, but it's not worth trying to me.
Yeah.
Like the life that I've built now is so much different that why risk it and try?
Right.
And so I went, and then I realized when I started, and I also have chronic kidney stones. So I'm not like, I've had to have pain management stuff like throughout the years. I pass about 15 a year, literally, because I can't break down calcium correctly.
Yeah.
And I have autoimmune, like I have Crohn's disease and lupus. So I have autoimmune disease. So sometimes I have to have like some pain management or some support. But this time I noticed that when I was like trying to push out like my meds, like not even I never misused them. As a matter of fact, I went back to Ally because the pain had intensified and it wasn't being managed. It wasn't managed well on my dose. And they were like, well, you have these pain meds. Why don't you just take another one? I said, because that's not what it says on the bottle.
I'm trying to do the right thing.
The directions do not say.
Right.
And so they made it to where it said I have a bridge dose because I was like, listen, this is not what it says.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing pain management and all that. And I notice as I'm like trying to move around more and prep to get ready to go back to work because we have a large campus and I'm in both places. And so I'm trying to prep to get ready to go back to work. I notice that first I want to be off my pain meds by the time I go back to work. That was my goal, that I'm off pain management. But I notice as I'm pushing those things out, like I'm sick, like I'm sweating, like I got prickly skin. And then like I'm like
I'm
doing a cow's assessment on myself and I'm like, this is not good. So I, call some of our friends at another detox center. Yeah. And I say, hey, like, I just need to, like, I've been on pain management for this long and I'm getting sick.
Yeah. Geez.
And there's no, like, I'm super sick. Like, I don't want to be feeling like this. I need to be ready to go back to work
I can't be
when I can go back at work.
Rehab facility.
Right.
Yeah, and the fact that like just doing it, you know what I mean? Just like feeling that way, like it's awful. Right. And so I went, and then they're like, well, do you want to do a taper? And I'm like, no. I just need to be here away from that because this feels gross and I need to have fluids because I have autoimmune disease and the worse that I get, and I was taking the like very minimal. So to be that physically dependent was wild to me, in that amount of time. But they're like, a lot of the detox that we see is people that were on pain management for a period of time, you typically greater than a couple of weeks, and they need help getting off.
Yeah, get dependent on it.
Yeah, your body gets dependent physically. Yeah, you're dependent on it. And so one of the nurses, I remember she had changed I was there for a week because I was sick.
Wow. Yeah.
And so one of the nurses had came in, like they had changed nurses. And so it was like her first, like on the rotation with me. And she was like, how long, is this your first time trying to get sober? And I was like, I've been sober for 12 years. Yeah. I'm like, no, I've been sober for 12 years. I'm just trying to get off like these pain meds.
Yeah, like I am sober.
Yeah.
Still like.
Yeah, I am still sober. Like this is not changing anything. And so I think just navigating that, and I think that we don't talk about it a lot in the recovery community.
Was that kind of a mind fuck for you? Like how was that to like?
Yeah, I was like, I And do I cover it up and be ashamed of it?
Right.
Or do I openly talk about it?
Yeah.
And so my higher power has been like, this whole time, you better be openly talking about everything that happens in your life. And then I do at some point, because this is me showing up in your life. And so you better be sharing it because that's the point.
Right.
It's not even about you. The point is, you like this whole healing journey, your whole life is something that is going to be used for good and is not going to be bad. And so initially when I called, I was like, I called my friend. I do not want anybody, like, do not let me hear. Do not let me hear in the recovery community that Willow's clinical supervisor is in detox. Do not. Because our community is small. Like work and travel. Not that I am going to like not share. I'm just not in a place to share right now because I'm sick. Like I'm tired. My body's beat down. I'm trying to heal from this broken back and all that stuff.
You're doing it the right way too. So it's like
And so I went in, and the doctors at the detox were like, "Are you sure you don't want to?" They're like, "Listen, we'll keep you as long as you need to be here, but are you sure you don't want to taper?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to," like, because they're trying to do a Suboxone taper, which, and if that's what you need, that's like on you. But I was like, I'm not, like, there's no reason, like, I'm just going to, I need the fluids and I need this, like, comfort medication.
Just the basics.
Just the basics to support me through this. And that's what I'm going to use. There's no reason to add something else and taper off that. Like, no, I'm just going to be sick. And coming out of it, I think that was the right choice for me. I feel good about it. And I feel good about like talking about it. And then I told my team, like, hey, I just want you guys to know because eventually I will talk about it publicly. And I want you guys to know ahead of time that like I went to detox to get off the payments from my back, and there was no misuse. There was nothing funny going on about it. But that dependence, I think, happened so quickly that I was shocked. I truly was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is
Opiates
wild.
are crazy.
Yeah.
My goodness. Where do I even start? I have so many questions. The biggest one, I think, being like, you've been through so much, yet you're still like resilient and hopeful. And like you mentioned, like one piece that kind of broke you. Like, where do you get that resilience and hopefulness from? Like, because you have been through so much, you could just be like, I am a victim to all of this. Yeah. But you're more in like the survivor mentality. Like, how?
Yeah, I think victim mentality causes a loss of control for me, and I can't have that.
Okay, so the control piece.
Can't have that happening. Having control. No. So that's also what I've had. And so when I was out for 8 weeks, I'm the primary breadwinner outside of our home for our family. What's going to happen? I remember saying, my higher power quickly, who is God with the big G, quickly corrected me because I was like, I am the primary provider for this family.
So important.
And he was like, no, I'm the provider for your family. And I'm about to show up in these 8 weeks in ways that you're not even going to imagine. Yeah. And so in that time, I had a credit for my rent until July.
What?
So I stopped working in March.
Yeah.
So like I had my back. It was in March. I didn't get to go back to work until May. Yeah. And I had a credit to rent until July. Wow. And I did not work from March 15th till May 15th. I went back to work. Yeah. And so in that 8 weeks, my May rent was paid. Wow. April, May. Yeah. My June rent was paid. And I had a credit for July of like $300 towards our rent. Yeah. And so in that, he was like, no, ma'am. Yeah. Can you please sit down somewhere? If I have to break your back to make you sit down.
Know that I'm in control.
I have control. You do not. And I was just working crazy, doing things because I overfunction as a coping skill. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And because I have literally done every position in the field, or I have knowledge of like the positions in the field. Like I know that can be versatile. And so I will help out with operations, or I'll help out with this, or help out with, just because being a team player and over functioning is a way that I deal with. If I have stress, I'm like, I'll just over function at work. And then I'll be tired and I'll have to like come home and sleep and rest and all that. And so, not that all my kids at home do not, like I'm home with them. We homeschool our kids.
Wow.
We homeschool our kids. And so in the evenings, the cool thing about homeschool is that you can do it whenever. Yeah. And so our kids are constantly learning and doing things, and we just homeschool and help them. So in the evenings, I can do that whenever I get off work. But I think the resiliency comes from like the hope that I have in my spirituality and my spiritual life, and the things where God has shown up for me in my life and said, like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do this. And for me, that's what it is. And a little bit of like, I battle with him daily about control and control of things. I'm like, all right. And he's like, this is what we're doing. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it look different if it was like this, though? And he's like, I'm not negotiating with you. Like, I'm the provider for your family, and I'm going to show you that. And I have shown you that for the last 12 years. I've been showing up in every way. When I was in school and taking my finals and stuff like that, and Mac was gone in prison, we had a church member that would always call me and be like, how you fixed it on rent this month? He was an older gentleman, and he's passed away now. But I would come home and my husband's work boots would be outside the front door, and there'd be a check for $800 for rent in the work boot, or whatever it was, or $400 for groceries or whatever. He would just come and leave money in my husband's work boot. And then we had so many members of our church just rally around us the last 12 years that really we couldn't have gotten through it had we not. And I think that God knew we had to be spiritually connected. So we were baptized, church community from our church called Freedom Church used to go out to the halfway house and minister out there and like bring church out there. And so we were baptized at our church, which is at Westover on Mason Steck in North Austin. And so we were baptized there. And I think God knew that we were going to have a strong spiritual, because while my husband had grown up with his family, preachers and pastors of the church and stuff like that, he had also grown up in prison. And so, and for me, I had grown up with no real spiritual guidance or anything like that. I had no idea what God was. And I had no idea of legalism or anything like that, like within the church or within the Bible, like being legalistic. I just knew that God had saved me, and that like that's, I had the spiritual yearning to live my life differently. And so we had spiritual leaders in our church that have rallied around us and just helped us walk in that. And so I think that's been powerful for us too, that we were connected as quickly as we were.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And that we have that community.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. You have such a testimony.
I know.
You were making me think a second ago when you were talking about the backstory, you're making me think of this, the story of Jacob in the Bible where he wrestles with God for a blessing. And then God's like, it was your blessing the whole time, dude. You just needed to wait for it. But then, Jacob walks with a limp for the rest of his life because he wrestled with God, and God broke his hip because of that. But, him walking with a limp is the testimony of like, God's real. Like, it's, you know what I mean? And it wasn't so much to do with Jacob fighting for the blessing. It was Jacob was the one that was strong enough to accept that blessing. And so when I think of you, like all the stuff you've been through and all the people that just, not that anybody's problem is, too small, but some of the stuff that I hear people complain about, and they're like, oh, I'm so depressed because, my coffee wasn't perfect this morning, or whatever the case is. And it's, and it's like,
first world.
I've heard the concept of, why does bad things happen if God's real? And it's like, so this can happen right here. So somebody like you that's strong enough to handle it, and God chose to handle it, can be such a testimony to so many other people. Because just sitting here chatting with you, like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, it's impacting my life just for that. There was a pastor I was listening to the other day on a podcast, and he made a statement that was just so profound to me. He's like, everybody goes to church thinking, oh, well, life's going to be better if I just go to church. It's like, that's not the case. If you want to be a Christian, no, he says, if you want to have a nice, peaceful, easy life, don't be a Christian. Yeah. And I was like, that's 100% accurate. Like, if you just want to go to church on Sundays to say, like, oh, check the box, cool, do that. That's not what it means to be a Christian, though. Yeah. If you want to, eat shit after shit after shit so you can show the glory of God in it, that's what it means to be a Christian.
Yeah. And I think walking in that and saying, when people also are walking how do you have that resilience? How do you have that faith? How was it built? Like, it wasn't built because I had some easy path or everything was made straight. God says weapons will be formed. They're just not going to prosper. You know what I mean? There's going to be weapons. There's going to be
He didn't say you don't have to fight. He just said you're going to win.
The battle's won. Like, the war is won, right? We're going to fight these battles, but the war ultimately is won. Yeah. And so my husband, when he came home, I have pictures on my Facebook. Y'all might have seen them. But when he came home from the hospital, the day he was released from the hospital, he had like bandages over his head and the drain tubes and all that, and he's wearing a shirt that says "Forget religion, find God." Nice. And like, that's what it's about, like finding that spirituality. Because if you're just sitting in a pew at church, you know what I mean, that's not where you're going to find. Now, I've heard some great things at church. As a matter of fact, I just had a memory come up where I was like sitting in the church pew just crying, and it's because God said, I need you to know that I love Mac more than you ever will, and that his ultimate healing and everyone's ultimate healing will be in death with me. Yeah. And so whatever happens, know that I love him. He will be with me, and I'm the provider for you and your children. And so that was so like sobering and like comforting, because it's like, what am I going to do? Like, what do I do? And waves of grief, there are still, sometimes I'll be driving down the road and get sucker punched, right? Yeah. And like my breath taken away. Like, what if what if our life completely changes tomorrow and he's gone? And so living with a terminal brain cancer diagnosis is like hard. And I think for a couple of years in our marriage, even after he was sober and we were like healing and things like that after the diagnosis. So maybe from 21 to 20, from 21 to 2022, beginning of 2023, I literally worked so much, not just to build my name and to build a career for myself in case he died, but to remove myself from the intimacy and connection that you should have with your spouse as a way to protect. I think I did it as a way to protect myself. Right. And in 2023, when I realized, for one time it had been like the first time I had walked with my kids to the neighborhood park in 15 months. Wow. Like, we live in an HOA, which also causes a rift with me and my husband because he thinks he's Sanford and Son. And I'm like, I am getting fined. We live in an HOA. We do not live in the country, sir. And he's like such a goofball, such funny. Like, I'm like, how could I have worked so much over the last 2 years, making literal pennies, that I missed out on like the amazing person that he is? Yeah. And so like the last 3 years, I really spent being intentional about building our intimacy and our connection, like to one another as husband and wife. Like, who are we outside of a therapist and construction, and who are we outside of parents and grandparents? Like, who are we when it's just us? Yeah. Because that's so important. And our kids are special needs, and they likely will be with us for a long time. Like, hopefully they'll, have some independence later on. And we have to have a contingency plan for when he and I do pass. But hopefully that will be a while, and we have like this faith and hope in God that things are going to work out as they're supposed to, no matter what that looks like, because for healing ultimately is death for all of us, right? That's the ultimate healing in our lives and that peace. And so just being able to be mindful that we are doing things, even small, inexpensive things. Last night we fried wings and did like a wing fry night and just like hung out listening to music doing it. And I think doing those intentional things and remembering like how funny he is, because brain cancer can also change his personality. And so being able to like get on recording as much as possible. Like I constantly take pictures and videos of him and my kids now, because one day that may be all that I have, and I have to be aware of that, and I want them to have those memories as well of like what that's like, or what their dad was like and how much he loves them. So
going from like complete kind of avoidance, like head in the sand, to like I'm gonna actually be intentional to like cherish the time we have together.
And to be able to have that connection and to do that, I have to like, to be connected. I can't be like, I always use the Polyvagal chart as like a place of like gauge, like where am I at, what am I doing, because if I'm in the yellow or the red, there's absolutely no way that I can be connected to the people around me. Also, I functioned in the red for so long, and I heard on a TED Talk one time, this lady, I can't remember who she was, but she said, as a clinician, as a therapist, I took like this vow that like I'm going to support my clients at unconditional positive regard, and I'm going to do no harm, essentially, like in the therapeutic world, because we have could be harm done if we are not healing. And so in that, she said, if I'm numb and I'm living in the red zone, how do I know if I'm harming my clients or my family or anybody else around me? And I think that's so important, because some of my best work, I mean, I made the dean's list at Texas State. I was in the red zone, completely numb, just functioning out of survival. And so sometimes being in that red zone looks different, and we have to be in tuned. And when I heard that, I was like, I have to be very intentional to make sure that I'm in a healthy place of connection. And sometimes that looks like being selfish and taking care of myself and my needs. Because everybody around us gets the overflow. Everybody around Mike gets the overflow of his cup. You guys get the overflow of his cup, right? If he's not taking care of himself, then the overflow looks different. The overflow from us as moms, as wives, as clinicians and people, as small business owners, as things like that, they get the overflow. Our team gets the overflow from our cup, our kids, our spouses, everybody. And so if we're not intentionally making sure that we're full, we can't get below half. Because then we're depleted. And so everybody needs to have that overflow and be working towards that. And so that's what I've gotten. The last 3 years, I've been like, I need to be very intentional. And sometimes I slip back into old behavior and over functioning. And I need to call myself out on it and say, hey, girl, you're not getting enough sleep. You're not doing enough things for yourself. You're not eating properly. You're, going for 8-10 hours without eating and then eating junk. This is not okay. Like, you need to look at yourself and how do you make those changes?
Take care of you. You're in control of you. Stop trying to be in control of
everything else. Like, this is what I have to control, and this is what affects other people. The way that I take care of myself impacts so many other people.
It can seem selfish to focus on self, but if your cup is empty, then you're not helping anyone, not even yourself.
Man, I'm so glad you came, because I feel like you're preaching a message I needed to hear. I mean, something.
Working on physical health.
I've been working on physical health a lot, but something I've been just contemplating a lot is good stewardship. The concept of none of this is ours. It is God's, and we're just being good stewards of it, or at least trying to be, right? Because it's hard. It's hard when things start going right. It's hard to not get like overzealous and over prideful and like, oh, I did this. And so then, God has to come in and humble you a little bit. So anyway, just hearing you talk about, you know, your perspective and the things that you've gone through, and then like, you know, the overflowing cup. It's really good to hear. I really like that.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I have a presentation that I do sometimes, and it has like, so I poke holes in these clear cups, right? And I'm like, these cups are literally like us walking around. And I'll even use the analogy of like, your sponsor has all these holes in their cup, right?
Yeah.
People that are 12-step people, and that's what they're doing in their recovery. They have all these holes, and you have all these holes. And if we are we can like try to stopgap them and put our fingers on the holes, but there's not enough. Like if we're trying to pour into somebody else from a cup with holes in it, and we're not, and then I have like a clear bowl of water and I submerge the cup, like the water runs out. Like if I'm pouring water in this holy cup, like it's just running out everywhere. But if we submerge that cup into the bowl of water, I'm like, this is like your spiritual connection and your spiritual health and what that is. Yeah. And if you submerge this, how full is the water? They're like, it's running over because the cup is submerged in that bowl of water. Yeah. Right. And so like the visualization of that is you have to have this connection to something greater than yourself.
I love that.
That is able to fill you up and stopgap all the holes and keep you full so that you can spread that out to other people.
Stay submerged.
Yep, stay submerged.
We
need to make shirts.
I know.
We need to make shirts.
That's our mental health quote.
Stay submerged.
Stay submerged.
That's good. Yeah, like stay in the spirituality. That's been big for us the last year or two.
Yeah.
We got kind of out of like spirituality and the church and all that, kind of just diving into like building the businesses and stuff. Then we had our kid, and gift from God, like unexpected. But it made us kind of stop and think, and Mike was like, I want to raise her in the church. So we went back, but we had like church hurt, and we were like, you know, away from the spirituality. And but it's been like huge for us to like be back in it, and we just started like volunteering and getting submerged in it after being like hurt by churches in the past. And so
religious trauma is so hard, and it's hard to heal from because you think like this is supposed to be. And a way that never to like negate any religious trauma, because we have experienced it, Mac and I have experienced it ourselves as well, is that like hurt people are within the church, and even leaders within the church are also people that can be hurt, and hurt people have the capacity, and it doesn't make it okay. But I think being mindful of the fact that like that is not like, this is a hospital for the sick, and not a museum for like saints.
That's been the biggest like, and it was kind of a mindfuck at the start of getting back into church because I was like, it feels weird to be here because I'm like judging and I'm like, you know, guarded. But at the same time, it's like, I'm here for me.
Right.
And then one of our staff, actually, he's been going with us, and he was like, I was like, you know, like praise music, whatever. And he was like, yeah, you don't listen to it for yourself. You listen to it for God. And I was like, fuck. He's like, yeah, sometimes I don't worship for me. I have to just like do it for God. I'm like,
yeah.
Which makes it even more of a worship too, right?
Like, you're so right.
But like, oh.
Yeah.
So, and there's sometimes, on my drive, so we live in East Austin area, like the Hornsby Bend kind of area. So we live in that area, and then I drive, you know, to Bastrop. So it's like a 35-minute drive, and then I, you know, drive in and out Tuesdays through Saturdays, right? And so for me, like during that time, like I am the person, and you know those memes that's like, that at 8:58 somebody's like listening to like trap music, and then at 9 o'clock they're like, how are you doing today? Where do you feel that in your body? Let's go with that. You know what I mean? Like that's me. And so sometimes I have to be. So sometimes I'm like in that place, but then sometimes I'm like, I need to listen to just some worship. Like I just need to feel my body, especially if I'm like in this, if I've like experienced something heavy mentally, which is like almost every day in our field. I need to listen to a little bit of worship music, and then there might be some death metal that comes on. You know what I mean? Like my playlist is so all over the place. Like Spirit lead me, and then it's like brah. Like you know?
I've noticed same, because I'm usually listening to like rap on the way in or home. And that's how I would like get my like anger out or frustration or like stress. But then I'm like, you know what? Because I'll put it on. I'm like, nope. Like, so I'll switch it to like the like, I'll do like Forrest Frank or something like that. All right, like I'll meet you halfway, God. Like, it's, you know, still got a beat to it. But then I notice like my mental shift happens and I like am in a better place. I'm not just like, fuck this, fuck that. It's working.
If the trap music is making me like want to go kick in the door, then I'm like, okay, I can't do that. It's
good, but it's not helping me be a better person. And so, and it's also sometimes it's just that it's an act for God. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Because like the selfish me wants to listen to the rap music and be like, fuck everybody.
And it's like a submission. My husband listens to Christian rap. I don't know. Like that. I'm always trying to catch him saying a curse word. That's like, stop being legalistic. You're like, that's legalistic. Stop it. Don't do that. I'm like, what'd he say?
Yeah, I'm trying to get into that stuff. Maybe I'll go halfway.
And it really, he has, because they have like parodies to like Black and Yellow and like all kinds of stuff. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what are you listening to? And he's like, you don't know? And I'm like, no.
It's getting better now. There's some good artists out there. But yeah, it's like submerging yourself can be spirituality. And that's kind of been interesting because I think my cup was so dry that like getting back into it felt unfamiliar. But it also felt like I felt more safe because I was like had my walls up. And so it was really weird to be like, no, I need to be there and like have an experience with God, but at the same time be like, don't ask me to volunteer.
Don't ask me to do anything.
Don't abuse my abilities.
So the first 4 years at our, like, I wanted to, like start volunteering for everything. And it literally took us, like, 3 bus rides to get to church and 3 bus rides home before we had vehicles. We didn't get our first vehicle till, like, 2017 or 2018 because we had made a commitment to pay off my husband's surcharges, and he had a lot. And as soon as we paid them off, they did away with surcharges. So I was like... What? Like I have receipts. They're like,
moment.
They're like, we'll take a $5,000 one-time courtesy payment. And I'm like, this is not a courtesy. Wow. You know what I mean? And then they like do away with surcharges, and I'm like,
what are you trying to teach me, God?
So we made that commitment. My husband was able to get his license, and then eventually, I was like, I have to get my license. I have to like drive in Austin and
I'll just close
things.
my eyes.
And I passed on the first try. I was so nervous because I have test anxiety. So I'm like, there's not an accommodation for test anxiety and driving. But the driving instructor, so my husband were like reviewing, everything that happened after I passed. And I said, well, he asked me, ask any questions now because I can't answer any questions after we start. And I'm like, okay. And I took my test in Pflugerville, not in Austin, by the way. But I took my test over there because that's how it was still nerve-wracking. But so I asked, the only question I had was, can I use my backup camera to parallel park? And he's like, you can do whatever you want to do, however you're going to parallel park. And my husband was like, the only question you asked was if you could use a backup camera to parallel park, and you cannot parallel park. Like I will park in a whole other parking lot if I ever have to parallel park. So like I'll go somewhere else and walk 2 miles because I'm not doing it right. My husband's like, that's the question you could think of. You know that you were gonna fail parallel, and that was the question. And I was like, I couldn't think of anything else. I probably gotta ask something. So I did, but like thankfully I passed. And then I would like when I was parking at school, I would parallel park, but when there were no cars there, I would parallel park just like into a parking space, and then I would get out and take a picture and send it to my husband. He was like, who'd you have parked the car?
I did
that. There's just no cars around because we had like a Yukon XL was our very first vehicle. I'm like, what?
It's huge.
My husband literally like one time had a probably 6 or 7 foot piece of cast iron in our car. It tore up my seat. I was like, what?
Using it as a work truck.
He does. He like sometimes I'm like, sir. But Yeah, and then even God's blessings was like when the wreck happened, we had like somebody from our church had given us a vehicle because our engine was going out of our Yukon. So they given us like a Mazda 3, but it didn't fit all of us. So we had to like do trips differently. But that was totaled in the wreck in 2021. And God, I was like, God, what are we going to do? And he was like, hold on a minute. So we ended up buying our very first Toyota Sienna from the car lot. God provided the funds for that, 100%, provided the money for that. So we paid $15K. I paid $10K down in cash. And we had a VBAC loan at like the interest rate was like 2.4 or 1. I don't know. It was super low. Not anything like it is right now. And so we paid it off. And then we had members of our church that had given us a excursion, a limited edition excursion. They were like, we want you guys to have it. Yeah. And we were able to give that car to my mom. She was able to trade it to somebody like later. Like we just had so many ways that like God showed up for us in those things. Most recently though, the Sienna, about a year ago, the transmission went out on this Sienna. And so I just posted like, hey, anybody, know anything about Sienna transmissions? It's a sealed transmission. So you can't like change the fluid. It's supposed to be lifetime. And it's very costly after you find out everything that does, damage to the motor. So we had a lady that only follows me because she was praying over my husband's journey and getting updates. And her husband buy a new vehicle every 10 years. And they had a 2015 Tahoe. And she said, I'm supposed to give you this vehicle.
Oh my God.
And then our people at our church had already heard that we needed a vehicle. So they were buying us. They had raised $5,000 to buy us an Expedition.
Wow.
And so I told the lady, well, our church is buying us an Expedition. And she was like, well, I think you need 2 vehicles. She said, God said that this is your vehicle. Yeah. And so we ended up with our Expedition, our Tahoe, we ended up with them with like those were totally provided by God. That's like crazy. Just by people being obedient to God. Yeah. And so when I think about that, and I think about like it is our job to be obedient to God because we don't know whose life that we might be blessing by following God's obedience. Yeah. And I will be it can be like a tricky situation, right, to be obedient to God because we can have this hurt and this fear and be like, it can be the smallest thing that can make the biggest difference in somebody's life. It doesn't have to be like gifting them a car or just, being there to listen or just say, hey, how are you doing today? Or show interest in their life, like just going up to somebody and talking to them. Yeah. Because while I appear very like extroverted, I charge my battery being introverted, and so I can be like, I'm constantly battling a fear of like of imposter syndrome all the time. Yeah. And so because of that, it can be hard for me to like make connections and just go up to people and start talking to them and stuff like that. So, just being obedient.
All right. Yeah. The definition of being obedient and resilient and seeking after.
It's a word. God's probably like this working because when I used to hear his voice, it would be like this stern, like okay, like through gritted teeth voice. Yeah. That's like the voice that I would hear, like because I would feel and not necessarily hear God saying like, this is what you need to do, or like, this is what you're going to, or even when he showed me that Mac was going to be my husband, I was like,
don't know about that.
I don't know about all that, but he was like, this will be your husband. And I think that it worked out and we allowed God to be in our lives and he was able to work that out. And that was the plan initially. Yeah. But if it literally says, if you don't do it, God will raise up the rocks to do it. If you're going to, it's going to be done. Yeah. Like the path that I have, what I have you to do is going to be done. So one way or another, things are going to happen. And for me now, it's like if I try to be disobedient to God's voice or his like calling or what he's doing in my life, then I'll hear this like, okay,
Yeah.
And that, okay, I remember like sleeping under a bridge, the cardboard boxes, the house, the car,
Yeah.
like the thing, like, yeah, the material things, but also like the peace, the peace that I know that no matter what happens, like it was so hard to shake my faith now because I know that no matter what, even when I'm like, my back is broken and I can't get up and hardly walk and I can't do anything, that my family and our needs are going to be met and provided for.
That's wild.
And that's hard for somebody that has a control issue.
Right.
'Cause I need to be the one doing
Right.
it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, but it's not. We have to rest in God, and
Yeah.
He is the one that's controlling everything and taking care of it. And we're just here, and we need to be obedient and good stewards, like Mike said, of like the things that we have and the way that we get them, and honoring and pointing back to living our life in a way that says, I don't have to cram God down your throat.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to live my life in a way that makes you want to ask about what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing
Right.
to be able to have the healing.
I like your point too about like letting go of the control doesn't mean just like, going into depression and being like, a blob. It's being a good steward still. Still action based, but it's not like over controlling. It's, that balance of like acceptance and work, and how do I like find the balance to, like,
Because we have free will too. Like we have to be able to make decisions and do things.
still live life.
And still live our lives. And we're not always going to make the best decision. What I have learned though is that I don't have to, any decision that I have to make right now for the moment is I shouldn't have to do that. And if I feel like pressured to do that, now at work, I work residential facility, like we have to make snap decisions all the time.
Yeah.
And we just do our best. But in life, I don't have to make a yes or a no question. One of my kids right now has YouTube taken away from them. She's like, can I please have YouTube back? No, you're recording public videos, posting them. My kids are not allowed on public social media.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Absolutely not. You knew the consequence. This is what it is. But she'll be like, can you just make a decision now? Yeah. No, the decision right now is no, that you're not getting that back. But even as far as like financial planning or something like that, or somebody asking to borrow money or something like that, we don't have to make a snap decision. And if you feel like you do, that's an uncomfortable situation, and you need to be able to talk as a family or as a couple about that, and then also seek guidance about what to do in that situation.
Yeah.
Because for us, it's like if we loan money anytime, it can't be like, we have to know that we may not get it back, and we have to be okay with that. And if I'm going to have a resentment about that and not getting it back, then no, the answer is no, I can't do it. I don't have the money to, even if it's $20, I can't, give you that if I can't be okay with not getting it back.
Yeah. Living out all of the principles and thriving. Yeah. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, this was awesome.